Good evening, MCAT audience. I want to thank you for watching Oh No Lolo, and I hope you found it interesting. I also want to thank MCAT for running the program. Network TV won't run advocacy programs like this. PBS won't run them either. So we're very, very happy to have MCAT take on advocacy programs and run them for the Missoula area. We hope to give you an update on a very, very current update on the issues right now occurring with the Bitterroot Resort controversy, and hope that we can give you some ideas that might be useful to you if you would like to do something to help the situation. For example, stating your concerns in letters to the papers. So we have with us this evening Bob Clark, who is very current on the issues, and Laura Lungquist, one of our stars in the film, who has been following the controversy really closely. And I want to turn the update up to Bob and Laura, and they can inform us on the situation. Bob and Laura, take it away, please.
Thanks, Gene. I want to thank Gene and Worldwide Film Expedition for inviting me to come and talk today. And I'd like to, first off, let people know something that's fairly recent this year. And what it does is help to draw a perspective of the public's perception of ski resort development on Lolo Peak as it stands today. We hear a lot about how the public might have felt in 1960 or in 1988, for instance, but as far as how the public feels today about this particular proposal, I think that's very important. The Forest Service did a public comment period for their draft forest plan, and in that comment period, 2,000 people wrote to them about the forest plans, and we went ahead and did an analysis of the comments that came in on the Lolo Peak issue alone. And what we found is that 80% of the people that wrote in about Lolo Peak wanted to keep Lolo Peak just the way that it is. And I think that really says something. The Bitterroot Resort spent tens of thousands of dollars during the comment period in advertising to get folks to write in favor of the resort proposal to the Forest Service. And we're only able to muster about 1 in 5 of the comments of the citizens. So the support for developing Lolo Peak, this icon of a mountain, just simply isn't there among our community, and the reasons are wide-ranging. Both the Bitterroot Valley and Missoula Valley areas passed open space bonds this past fall, which clearly indicate a wish by the public to have more open space on their landscape rather than less. And I think this points to a direction that our citizenry is going in regards to how we want to shape our community. We want to keep the open spaces that we have, and particularly on public land, we should be able to do that. So that's one of the things. I'd like to ask Laura to talk a little bit about the need for a ski area existing in this area.
Thanks, Bob. We know that Bitterroot Resort has a lot of money behind it, and they've been putting out a lot of advertising. You hear them on radio stations, and you get flyers in the mail, and so you read, a lot of the stuff that you're reading actually has a lot of spin behind it. And one of the things that they keep pointing out is this apparent report that said that the Missoula area, the northwest Montana area, had a need for another ski resort. This is information that's old information, and there is actually, anybody that lives here knows there's quite a few ski resorts in the area. Within a 100-mile radius of Lolo Peak, there's actually 6 ski areas, And in a survey that was done of these 6 ski areas right now, they're only operating at 25% capacity. We know that Marshall Mountain closed down, and this was a small family resort. They just couldn't afford to stay open. And a lot of the problem that's going to be coming into this is the fact that whether or not you want to acknowledge what the cause of global warming is or climate change, it is changing. Anybody that's lived in this state knows the winters are a lot shorter, they're a lot warmer, and there's a study by Colorado USGS climate change model projecting that in the next 40 years, all areas of the Northwest are going to lose at least 37% of their snowpack. And so, and a lot of, not only is snowpack lessened, but it's moving higher up the mountains. So if we allow Bitterroot Resort to go through, they're putting in something that within the next 40 years is going to cease to be much of a viable resort, but we'll have given up something that we can never get back. And so the need is really not there. And then, so what we'd like to do is continue to update you on what's going on with these Bitterroot Resort finaglings and wranglings that they're trying to get around a lot of the rules. And Bob has some information on some things that have happened recently.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, in April, the Forest Service met with Tom McClay and Plum Creek, and they had a meeting that I have learned that it was about this idea to purchase Plum Creek land along Highway 12 near Lolo Creek. Tom McClay was proposing to purchase some of those sections and then asked the Forest Service if they might be interested in a trade, perhaps trading those sections along Highway 12 for Lolo Peak and Carlton Ridge, which would in essence put Tom McClay in a position as being the owner of Lolo Peak. So that was proposed out there, and I don't think it got much traction, but at the very same meeting an alternative was also thrown out, and that alternative would see the Bitterroot Resort buying those sections of Plum Creek land along Highway 12 and then putting some conservation easements on those as a way to mitigate the potential impacts that would occur from, or the impacts that would occur from a potential resort on Lolo Peak and Carlton Ridge. And these are things that are happening that you're not getting a postcard in your mail about. That's not, you're not going to see a press release by the Bitterroot Resort telling you that they're meeting with Plum Creek and the Forest Service and trying to figure out a way, whether it be by hook or crook, to get a hold of Lolo Peak. And we really feel strongly that that's a very important piece of public land, considering the importance to this community, the importance to science, the wildlife habitat, our way of life, our recreation opportunities that we currently enjoy up there, and to have those types of backroom deals trying to come up lends some perspective, I think, on the intent of the Bitterroot Resort.
Bob, could you go into kind of just give everybody an overview of the forest plan procedure and kind of what that is?
Sure. Yeah, right now the Forest Service had put out a draft forest plan back in May of 2006. And we were expecting a final forest plan to be released in May of 2007, this past month. And that has been delayed, and may be at the end of 2007 that we might see a final forest plan. There's been a very complicated turn of events that has led to the delay, and it has to do with the way that these forest plans were produced. They were produced without an EIS, and they were produced under a new rule that was initiated by the Bush administration under the National Forest Management Act. And so it changed the way that the Forest Service was allowed to go about doing their forest plan. And the Sierra Club and other organizations nationally felt that rule change was illegal, and we in fact did prevail in court to, in essence, force the Forest Service and the administration in general to do the right thing, to have public comment if they're going to make a rule change, to ensure that species viability is kept into the forest plans and that we have standards that we can hold the agency to, so that we don't have these vague guidelines that were outlined in the new planning regs. So we think that that's a good thing, and it will end up having a stronger forest plan because of it. So that's where we're at now. We feel that as the Forest Service goes through the EIS process on the rule change, we'll probably see a move to release the final forest plan at some time after that EIS is completed, which is scheduled for this fall or early winter. And maybe Laura can talk a little bit about how folks might, in the meantime, get themselves involved in this issue by taking pen in hand, for instance, and letting the decision makers know what they can do.
As we said, the Forest Service plan involved a lot of public input, and that particular area of public input is now over. However, you can still have an effect because there was originally some meetings that were going on while all the input was being taken, and Pat Williams mentioned that there were some powers that be from higher up in national government that had asked the Bitterroot Resort folks whether or not they wanted to push this through. And he said that at the time that hadn't happened, but this sort of thing can happen, even though public input is 80% against the Lolo Peak Resort. If the bosses of the Forest Service come down and say that they want that this to be the way to go, it can still happen. So you can have an input to these powers that be, Senator John Tester and Senator Max Baucus, also Representative Denny Rehberg. These three gentlemen still have some say into this, and they can bring some powers to bear. And so if you can write into those folks, let them know that this land, this public land, is something that you want to keep, and you don't want to have to pay to be able to access and allow somebody else to make money off of it. We don't want it to bypass the public input. We want it to go the way the public has indicated. And in addition, send your comments to the Lolo National Forest and go ahead and write letters to the editor, because a lot of people tend to think, since this has gone on for a while, that it's a done deal, it's already taken care of, but there's still input to be made, and until that final forest plan comes out, which at this point there isn't any indication that it's going to change, but until it does come out, there's still some room for some changes, and we'd like to see it stay the same.
Yeah, well put. I think that Lolo Peak to the community is serving a very valuable economic, ecological, and community benefit towards our communities right now. So we're really receiving something beneficial from this mountain and this area being in the way that it is. And usually when you have a good thing going, you hang on to it, and that's Lolo Peak. We need to hang on to it. It's been working for us for decades, and we don't want to see that tradition and that landscape changed.
So I'd like to thank Bob and Laura, and remind the MCAT audience, in case you missed the film Oh No Lolo, MCAT is going to replay it next week. You can see it Wednesday evening, June 20th at 8:30. And again, I want to thank Bob and Laura and all you viewers for tuning in. And whatever you can do to help us protect 12,000 acres of our public land from this Bitterroot resort, your input is really vital.